Good morning.
Thank you for flying EBU.
We are going on a journey, and it's a journey to a vision for 2020. A journey that will last more than a year. Let's start our journey with the question, what do we mean with the word indispensable? What would Barack Obama be without Michelle? What would Oliver Hardy be without Stan Laurel? And of course, what would Paris be without the Eiffel Tower? But more important, what would democracy be without public service broadcasting? Well, these are things and people that seem indispensable today. But we are not talking about the status quo. We are talking about the future. We are raising questions about the future. Our main question is how to be indispensable in 2020. And many of us already started on their journey to indispensable, you could say, the land of indispensable. And we have three members, YLE, CT and VRT here, to talk about their future strategy, to give a glimpse on where they are, and to give you some flavor of what we will talk about next year. Welcome. We will have, at least maybe you have more questions, but I have three questions for you today. You have a card. There are questions on the back side. And the first two questions on this card are the two questions I will ask to the panel. Gunilla, the first question on this card is, what is the most disruptive development, in your opinion, in Finland, for YLE, in the next 10 years?
That's really a very long list of disruptive trends at this moment. So I thought about it and I picked three of them. The first one is about money. It's about funding of public service media. Who will be paying for content in the future? The other one, I think everyone has it on its list, consumer behavior. We are behaving differently towards media today. And the third one is the new ecosystems, the new global actors.
Peter, how are you looking at this?
I definitely agree with everything what was said here, and I would include two more. The first one is a lack of sources. The financial sources we already heard, but the second lack, which I feel, is the lack of talents in the markets, because we are under big competition. The commercial TVs, they are doing the same type of programs, which means that they are taking the talents from the market. And second problem, which I see in the future, is the commercial competition. One of the ideas which the commercial TVs may have is to provide a public service for money paid by the state.
First one are my children, because my children don't behave anymore. They are consuming media, but it's not TV, it's not radio, it's all kinds of things. It has nothing to do with VRT, and they consume it on their own proper device. Second one is economics, because we had years of growth in Europe behind us, and that's finished. And I think that's also a big threat, because it means that in the media economics, our commercial competitors will be under pressure. When they are under pressure, they go and lobby with the governments. Governments have less money because of the economic situation, and they will put pressure on the fees. And then a third threat is, to me, is the fact that the public is more, and again, it's something you see with youngsters, is believing that content is free. Yeah. And we all know that content is not free, that making good quality content costs money.
These were very, let's say, precise answers. Let me turn to the room now.
If our politicians who decide our funding don't trust what we do, and if the audience that elects then doesn't trust what we do, then they might decide not to fund us properly. Surely that could be very disruptive.
If you look at the funding crisis that we're all facing, the need to invest in technology, the need to continue to make high quality, distinctively Irish, in our case, programming. The need to disseminate that programming on a range of different platforms and invest and continue invest in marketing, because now one of the key challenges is actually to find the content, because there are so many channels and so many ways of accessing the content, so the range of there's a cluster of challenges. It's not just one. There are many challenges.
The main risk for all of us is the privatization of some channels, and also the risk of privatization of public service broadcasters. So I think that we have to pay attention to this.
Unfortunately, commercials are taking more and more power in our parliament through lobbying. And we see in Latvia now that a lot of decisions are taken against the public broadcaster.
How do we win the hearts and minds of our audience? In fact, it all boils down to that in the end. And I think if we listen to the problems, I think that's finally our basis. If we don't have some answers on this, then we are in big trouble. What makes your company indispensable in 2020?
There is one simple word which is quality, and quality is something which we should provide. We have to think about that, we have to produce that kind of quality, but we have to be able also to measure it. Because if we measure it, then we can prove to everybody, to the audience, to the politicians, to the public, that we are delivering something which is reasonable to pay for.
It's all about return on society, in terms of content, in terms of service. And that's the big difference with the commercial ones. They have return on investments. The second one, creativity, will make the difference always in media. So combine creativity and operational excellence. Because spending the tax money in a very good way is also important to convince our public. And on the third level, the ecosystem. We have to find ways of working together with the other players in the ecosystem. Otherwise, they will continue to attack us. So we have to find also win-wins with the other players in the ecosystem.
Yeah. Gunilla?
First of all, we have to serve all Finns. We have to know the audience. We have to go out and we have to be much more open. We have to really prove that we have content and ways of dealing with every kind of Finns. Then the second point is that we have to provide value to the society. And that means that we have to work as an organization in a different way. We are at this moment, and when Annika asked about what is the hope is very much now that we work also beyond programs, and we work a lot with different kind of partnerships with schools, with the cultural sector. We have to play a role for the creative sector in our society. And I think this is a big role change for the public service broadcasting company as we used to work.
Excellence, knowing the audience, making a difference, changing attitude. It's a lot.
Are we as good as we hope to be in everyday decision making on programming, in terms of using money, in terms of making choices about doing this and not doing something else? So for really getting a clear picture about where to go and where to be in 2020, I think it needs an ability to be self-critical.
I think we have great opportunities. We have stable funding, a lot of us, through the license fee. And our goal is really that our content should go out to everybody. But still, it's so difficult for us. We should be the first people to put our content on YouTube, share it with people, give it away. We don't need to make money, but we are the last people to do it. Maybe the greatest challenge is ourselves. The way we view ourselves, our role in society. And I think we really have to work with our organizations.
One of the things that we've learned from the crisis, certainly in RT television, is that we must have impact with our programming. Our programming must mean something to the public, and we must, we can't afford to have kind of so what programming in our schedules anymore.
I think that one word that is absolutely crucial is trust. Because if you don't have the trust from your audience and you don't have them behind you in the back, then you're an easy target for the politicians. To build this trust, you have to realize where your audience are, and they are out there on social media. And we are traditional media. And if we sit on our high heels trying to think that the audience will come to us, then we are in big trouble. You have to invite the audience into the dialogue before you're finished. We are very much focusing on them and we, and I think it's more a question of us together with the audience.
I think the other bit which sort of like differentiate us from private operators is our investment in original European content, and you know what that sort of like, and the impact that has on audiences from our national. I think that is, especially in an increasingly globalized world, you know, that is sort of like, you know, going to connect and, you know, and possibly decide with politicians whether they should continue to allow public service broadcasting to exist.
Regarding self-criticism and trust, I think we rightly heard that we somehow cannot trust neither politicians nor the public fully.
Parce que impact, ça veut dire capacité à faire bouger la société. Et la faire bouger, ça veut dire probablement, de temps en temps, créer des émotions collectives et avoir beaucoup de monde, mais de temps en temps, toucher peut-être peu de monde, et parce qu'on a de l'impact, faire avancer quelque chose.
Effectivement, nous sommes les seuls à pouvoir répondre à un besoin de cohésion de la société, d'information, d'éducation, de transmission de la culture. Et nous sommes, dans une certaine mesure, les seuls à pouvoir assurer le futur de nos générations.
Building brands is something where we have to go inside the people, we have to be closer to the audience, and closer, I mean not only from the screen, but also in a physical sense. So to go and meet the people, tell the people from eyes to eyes that we are there and they know what they are paying for.
So I will give you now back to the chairman.
Thank you for flying EBU.